Hello there, my name's Sue Shardlow. I am the Developer Community Manager here at Redis. Thanks so much for joining us today for This Week in Discord. Now, if you've been watching for the last few weeks, we've been doing this on a weekly basis to give you a little bit of an insider view into what happens on our Discord server, which is open to any of you good people and Redis fans who want to come and join us. But at the same time, you won't find anything in there on if you do a Google search. So it's closed in that respect. You do have to be a member, but we will let you in as long as you abide by our very kind and loving code of conduct. So we're here to tell you a little bit about what happened this week on Discord. And today I'm joined by my good friends and colleagues, Simon Prickett and Justin Castilla. Let's bring them into the mix. People, do you want to bring yourselves into the mix, please? Because what happens is if I press add these people and they're pressing add, then we're going to cancel each other out and you're going to remove everybody and it's going to be me that gets the blame because generally it is my fault. So hello, Simon and Justin. How are you today?
Hello. All right. It's well, Friday evening here. So as usually the case with these streams, this is kind of the last thing for my week. So it's a good way to finish off the work week.
Cool. Yeah. And Justin, you're on the other end of the clock.
Right. Good morning. For me, it's like a beautiful sunny Friday morning. I'm like looking out my window and there's like deer prancing around and butterflies flying. So I get to look forward to a full, beautiful Friday.
Yeah. So Simon thinks this is the last thing he's going to be doing today. I've got news for Simon because we're working on Hacktoberfest, which we're going to tell you about in a minute. And that is that's something that we enjoy doing a little bit of overtime on because all of you good people who are joining us in Hacktoberfest are contributing at different times to when we're on duty. And Justin has a lot of nature going on in the garden now, which so you moved to a bit more of a sort of like a place with more flora and fauna. And you used to live in quite an urban place in California, didn't you? But
yeah. So I lived in Oakland, California, and now I moved up to Washington State. And I found a really cool place that has an orchard and a bit of a forest, and it's right on the Puget Sound, which is a body of salt water that goes into Washington State. So there's always something munching outside my window or pecking at something or tearing at something. I've collected, I think, like 12 different animals on my list so far living here.
Yeah, you need to make one of those bingo cards with pictures of different wild animals, don't you?
I do. I think last night we heard a lot of dogs barking down the street, and normally those dogs don't bark, so we think that maybe there was a mountain lion or a bear. I didn't go outside to investigate, but there was something that was really riling up the dogs down the street, so that's a little spooky. I
think that is good advice for anyone. If you hear some animal which you don't know what it is, don't go outside and investigate. There's a fine line between brave and stupid, people. I'll tell you that now. So yeah, don't go outside and investigate. If you have any sort of security camera, switch that on and watch from the comfort of your own home. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, you don't want to know about the wild animals that live around where I live because you wouldn't believe me if I told you. So we'll move swiftly on from that. But yeah, we mentioned Hacktoberfest earlier, and we also mentioned This Week in Discord. And this week on Discord, we had a really fine enmeshing of the two because, let me share my screen here. Somebody asked us, hi, are there any Hacktoberfest projects I can contribute to this year? And I'm so glad you asked because the answer very much is yes. So let me tell you how you can get involved. First off, I'm going to show you our landing page. Ignore the bit on the right hand side, that's Discord. It's just so I can easily click over to it. So if you go to redis.io/community/Hacktoberfest, this will give you a quick primer as to what Hacktoberfest is and how you can get involved with Hacktoberfest with us here in the DevRel team at Redis, who, like I said, are all over the globe. And by the way, I would really love to know where you're tuning in from today. So please do tell us in the chat whether you're watching on YouTube or Twitch. We'd love to know where all of you good people are currently located. So if you go to redis.io/community/Hacktoberfest, that gives you a little bit of a primer as to what Hacktoberfest is, because some people don't know, and I don't blame them, because if you're not regularly on Twitter and all the other socials, you might have missed this. But it is a month-long, as the name might suggest, Hacktober, a month-long festival of open source celebration. So a lot of companies like us, and also a lot of individuals, open up their repos on GitHub and GitLab to folks who want to make contributions. And this could be code contributions, it could be documentation and all of that other good stuff. So what we've done at Redis is we have opened up a number of issues on a lot of our repos. Some of this software gets loads of downloads every day. I cannot tell you, it's so popular, like Node Redis, which is a very popular client library for you JavaScripters. So we've opened up quite a number of issues on these repos for you to go and have a look at and open a little pull request against. And you will find all the information you need to know about how to do this with Redis at this website. It tells you how to get involved. There's a link here so you can see our list of current open issues. If you go there, some of those things have already been assigned, but there are also loads, and let me make that a little bit bigger. There are also loads of things that are still available. And we've got different languages as well. We've definitely got JavaScript, we've got Python, and we have got .NET. So any of you good folks who like those languages, please do check that out. So it tells you you need a GitHub account because we only have our code on GitHub, we don't use GitLab, and you need a Hacktoberfest account. So if you go to hacktoberfest.com, you need to sign up here. You can do it by authenticating through GitHub or GitLab, form an account on there, and then that links you up. So when you open your pull requests, they will log that, and then you have the opportunity to get some prizes from DigitalOcean, who are running the Hacktoberfest event globally. So I just need to point out that Redis are not responsible for the allocation or sending out of swag, but we are here to provide you with some issues that may help you to get some swag from DigitalOcean. It's got a bit of information here about how to find and work on an issue. Like I said, me and Simon are doing a little bit of overtime tonight to do a bit of admin on this, to make sure all the issues are allocated to people that wanted to be allocated and the pull requests are reviewed and all of that good stuff. So all that you need to know is on here. We are asking people to open a pull request within 2 calendar days, and that's just to keep the momentum up, so that, you know, we don't get folks that say, oh, I'll do this, and then 6 days later they still haven't done anything, when there's somebody else who like really can see the answer so clearly and they want to open that pull request. So asking people to just ask to be assigned as soon as they know that they can actually do some work. So like I just showed you on our open issues, we currently have 20 issues open because we have had some pull requests merged already, but through the month we'll be adding more. So if you don't see anything there that grabs you at this time, don't worry, just keep checking back, and hopefully you'll find something later in the month that you like. So if you do find anything on there that you like, or if you've got any questions about Hacktoberfest, then feel free to join us on Discord. And like I said, it's free to join. Everybody is welcome. Just need to be a good, kind, loving person, as you know, all Redis fans are, and you can come and join and stay and chat with us. So we have a dedicated channel in our Discord server for Hacktoberfest. You can come in here, speak to me, Simon, Steve, and all of the other people on the team who've got issues open if you've got any questions. And then once you've had a pull request merged, we will give you the Hacktoberfest role. You can see them on the right. Mephalik, who's a long-time viewer of these streams, has been given the Hacktoberfest role because they had a PR merge yesterday. So I think that is everything I need to tell you about Hacktoberfest. But like I said, if you've got any questions, you can either put them in the chat here right now on the stream, or we will answer them, or come and join us on Discord, discord.gg/Redis, and then navigate to the Hacktoberfest channel, or on this page here, we have a direct link to that channel on here. I think that's about it. Simon, you've been working on this very closely with me this week. Is there anything else you wanted to add to that?
I think just two things. Don't think that you have to be a C programmer, and we're not talking about working on the core Redis product here necessarily. A lot of the issues are for demos and things that you see our team do on stream. So they're in all sorts of different languages, and they involve using skills like Docker skills, or in some cases CSS, or things that, you know, our team's not necessarily good at because we're like databasey backendy people. And then the other thing is we're trying to encourage a wide participation. So don't be discouraged if you've done one issue with ours and we kind of like don't assign you another one until other people have had a go, because in order to get your swag from DigitalOcean, you need 4 issues across the whole of everybody that is offering Hacktoberfest. So we would like as many people as possible to have a go at ours rather than someone get all 4 from us. So that's kind of why we're managing that a little bit.
Yeah, good point. So when I mentioned Node Redis earlier and all the millions of downloads it gets on a daily basis, some of you might have got a little bit scared. No, you will not be changing the actual Node Redis code base, but what you will be doing is helping others to understand what they can use it for. So we're looking for examples to be written. But if you go and have a look at the issues, all of that will become a lot clearer. And like Simon said, we're trying to spread the love across as many of you good people as possible this month, which is why we're asking people to take one issue at a time, but also leave a bit of a gap between the Redis issues that you want to work on. And also take advantage of GitHub search function. If you type Hacktoberfest into there, you find issues from other people as well. We would love to get as many unique contributors to our Hacktoberfest project as possible. Cool. As you can probably tell, Hacktoberfest is one of my favorite times of the year, which is why I've just spent like a good full 10 minutes talking about it and leaving hardly any time for Justin and Simon to talk about their topics. But I'm going to move on now I'm going to stop sharing that, and I'm going to add these slides back onto the stream, and we're going to move on to now Simon. And yeah, somebody came into Discord, and we get this a lot. Somebody came into Discord and they posted a bunch of code and said, what am I doing wrong? And, you know, we like that. It's all good. So Simon, talk us through this one, please.
Yeah, so this is actually quite relevant to the Hacktoberfest conversation. So this is some Node Redis code, and if you've used Node Redis for a while, the interface changed somewhat between version 3 and version 4, and in some ways became more friendly, but in other ways sort of distanced itself a little bit from how things had worked before. So if I share this, so this is the, I'm going to say ZADD. I sit in both camps, so we'll just run with that for now. The sorted set commands all begin with the last letter of the alphabet, however you want to pronounce it. So last letter of the alphabet, add, is a command for putting something into a sorted set, which is a data structure that basically maps members and scores and keeps them in order of score. So the question here, the person had basically seen that you generally with Redis clients use a function named the same as the command you want to run, and the parameters roughly run in the order in which they're in redis.io, which shows the Redis protocol, Redis CLI version of the command. And normally you just provide it with a list of scores and members. So in some Redis clients, you would literally do that client dot last letter of the alphabet, add score, member, score, member, score, member as a bunch of like integer string separated by commas or what have you. In Node Redis 4, this changed a little bit. And where this sort of segues into Hacktoberfest is over here in Node Redis 4, we have an examples folder. This came about from Hacktoberfest last year. It was created for that and largely populated from that. And what we're aiming to do here is show how you use the latest functionality, the latest syntax, in a way that people can just pick these things up and use them, because the documentation isn't necessarily always where it should be. So we've got some issues for this year for people to contribute to more of these. So as Sue said, if you want to contribute to something that has a huge number of eyes on it, you can do that, and it's fairly safe because it's example code. And we'll make sure it runs and everything before we merge it, but you're not sort of changing core functionality that runs on billions of servers, so it's a bit more approachable. Anyways, in here we have a sorted set example that was contributed. Looks like this is one of mine actually, but okay. A lot of these were done for Hacktoberfest last year. This one maybe wasn't. And the new syntax for last letter of the alphabet add, I think I'm just going to run with this forever now, is that you provide it with a key name and then you provide it with an array because it's multivariant. You can send in lots of things. And then each thing in the array, you give it an object with a score and a value. So it is a little bit different from the command, but that's what it looks like. And generally, a good thing here would be if you get into this sort of situation, you're not sure how something's working, go check out this examples folder. It's in the GitHub repo for Node Redis. And if something is missing in here, like you don't see something that you're trying to do, then create an issue for it, or even better, we actually created a whole contribution section here. So this is true for Hacktoberfest, but also true for you if you just find something that you want to do. Follow these guidelines, you've got a very good chance of having an example accepted, or at least we'll make some minor suggestions and we'll work together to get it accepted. So yeah, that was that one.
Cool. Yeah, I hear what you're saying about sitting in both camps over this ZADD thing. I mean, ZADD is quite a safe bet because it works in both languages, American and English. And if you take the three of us here, there is an intersection. So I'm British, Justin is American, Simon is British and supposedly also American. I have seen the passport. It's true, he is American. However, so there is an intersection there, Simon being in the middle.
So I'm wrong all the time, basically.
Yeah. However, and I know you shouldn't go on what people sound like, but I would love to know from you viewers, do you think Simon sounds more British or more American? In which case, does the ZADD get more votes? I believe it does, but I've known Simon for a long time, so to me he sounds quite English. Justin, do you think Simon sounds American?
No, but I've worked with you both closely for the over a year, so I have completely absorbed your accent, so where I can barely hear it now. So I say my local, just because I had this conversation so many times on it, so I glom onto the British. No, actually, it's kind of fun.
Simon Prickett, did Justin just break up for you there, or was it me?
Yeah, you went a little bit pixelated, so I don't know if everybody else.
Yeah, it was funny. So
Sorry.
you went, so I say, and then you went, and I was like, wow, I really want to know what you say. I really want to know what you say.
Joys of the internet.
They are. I can. Simon.
Right, you're still breaking up. I'm gonna guess that you're being very diplomatic and saying that he's both. So we both get 1.5 votes each.
Okay.
Because we totally did not hear what you said there. Unfortunately, it pixelated very badly. Oof. Cool. Okay, let's proceed to question 3. So, question 3. Now, Simon and Justin, you're both slated to answer this question. Let's see how we get on with Justin's internet connection. But between you, or one of you, or both of you, can you recommend a book with focus on Lua for Redis?
Well, as far as a book goes, I do believe we actually have an ebook that has been distributed. Yeah. Indeed. What we usually focus on is our documentation within redis.com or redis.io. So chapter 11, here we go. Scripting Redis with Lua is probably what you want to look at. And this should give you a rundown of how to execute Lua scripts, some of their documentation, how to actually run them. But that is currently what we would recommend. There's no actual book for it because it wouldn't warrant a large publication like that. And I also think that it's worth looking at Redis Functions. So Redis Functions still run Lua, but you actually you don't have to load them up. They're actually, you load them up before you even start the Redis server. So that makes them a little bit more durable and persistent. Whereas you have to load up Lua scripts after you load your Redis server. So they're not going to be as durable. So if you have to fail over your node to a replica, or if you have a crash or anything like that, then you won't actually have your scripts. So you can still run Lua, just look at the Redis functions. Also, down the line, you're going to be able to use possibly other languages like JavaScript. So that's what I would recommend. And
yeah, I guess the sort of other thing for this question is like, why would you want to do this anyway? And largely it's because you want to move some logic into the server, and so that you can run it atomically, so that it kind of has control of the Redis server while it runs. This is something that we teach in a couple of courses, but if you're not familiar with the concept, go take the 101 course. It's got stuff about that in it. And yeah, Redis Functions is kind of like some more candy on top of Lua for the minute, but you will need Redis 7 for that. So if you're running an older version of Redis, you'll want to upgrade, but generally the cost of upgrading is free because open source. Well, free as in time, not free as in go buy a copy of Redis 7. So.
I also noticed a lot of times people on Discord will be asking for some really, really awesome magic way to manipulate multiple keys or retrieve multiple keys, alter them, and then store them back into Redis or update, basically. And it's really cool, but we do not have command functionality for multiple key manipulation for the most part. So Lua is usually the best bet because you get to create within the environment on the Redis server, the moment to manipulate keys on your own accord, and it's all atomic, which is great.
Yeah, I think a couple of the 102 programming courses that we have cover a common use case for this, which is like atomic check and set. So like update, say we're storing like the maximum temperature we've ever seen in this room, update that value if the value provided is greater than the one that's in there already, and do it atomically so nothing else gets in the meantime, changes that value. So yeah, like check and set's common use of this. And you can move all of that logic into the server then and not worry about implementing it with watch and exec and whichever client and programming language you're using. So yeah, it's kind of a big topic. We can't really cover Lua because it's a whole programming language. So we're not here to teach Lua syntax, but just be aware that you can use it in Redis and it can manipulate keys, and it essentially has exclusive access to the Redis server while it's doing that. So be really careful, because if you write something that's really complicated, it takes forever to run. Nobody else is going to get anything out of that Redis server while it's running.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's sometimes a thing that people don't think about, isn't it? The knock-on effects of their actions. So yeah, and like Simon said, we have got a course, RU 101, Introduction to Redis Data Structures, where you will get a peek at Lua. So yeah, have a look at that. Me and Justin did it together last year, had a lot of fun. The videos are still on YouTube. So we have a question here on Twitch from Mefalich. What do you all think of this?
Don't you think it'd be good to have examples on most used Redis features and scenarios in Lua along with JS and Pi? Yeah. I think it would be worth it. Actually, this might be a Hacktoberfest opportunity to maybe create like a little bit of a cookbook for Lua. I always like having little folders of code snippets that I can reuse. So yeah, that's actually very valid. I know I don't want to pull the curtains behind me away too far, but there is talks of having tabbed examples of using some of our libraries, our client libraries, in our different languages. So maybe we can kind of reuse that code for Lua down the way. But yeah, that's a good question. Yeah,
that is a nice suggestion. I like that. We keep that in our back pocket and try not to give away too much of our secrets. Yeah, thanks for the suggestion. Right, okay, let us do our fourth and final question. Hello, guys. Let me just remind you, we're not all guys, but I'll forgive you this time. Hello, guys. I'm developing a Node.js app I want to use Redis for API cache and sessions. I'd like to learn more about it. So that's why I joined. Excellent. We love new learners. So Simon and Justin, please tell us all about this.
Good that there's actually the two of us here, because for, I think it was it 2021 for Redis Conf, we developed something called the Node Crash Course, which Justin and I taught as part of a couple of workshops remotely in Redis Conf, and it's available now and forever on the developer site here. So I've got this up, and this site has, or this course has sections on both caching and session storage. And the way it works is you just click through here, and there's a video of former me from 2021 mostly, and there's some hands-on exercises, but there's also a code base. And what this demonstrates is another sort of caching, which is caching a weather API. So that's a third-party API. So reasons why you might cache something would be it takes a long time to get a result. So even if you like owned all the data in another slower database, you might still want to cache it. Or in this case, because it costs money to get it, and like the weather doesn't change that regularly. So if someone's hitting it like 10,000 times an hour, the weather doesn't move that fast. So you can cache the result for a given zip code or lat long or something. So yeah, that's kind of the caching component. Justin, you made this video about it that I won't play because of the sound, but I just love this still, which is, guess I'll let you talk about what that's about, but hopefully it's fairly obvious from the screenshot there.
Right. Yeah, I'm super glad that somebody asked about caching, because I'd say for the first, like maybe 2/3 of 2021, I was just neck deep in caching. So yeah, definitely check out the Node Crash Course, and also just look up Redis caching examples. And I have about maybe 3 videos. But basically, Redis is great for caching because it's very, very fast. So what you do in a nutshell is, before you go to your big slow database or your primary database, you check the Redis instance if that data actually exists. If it does, that's super great. You can just use that data. And you can see a huge speed up. It's we have code bases that we've written where you can actually run a local Redis instance, and you can contact, like I think it was Weather Underground, their API, and you can see the amount of speed up and response time for requesting your local weather. But basically, what you do is you set Redis as an instance between you and the database, or the client in the database, the application in the database. And since your cache isn't a permanent storage solution of data, you actually have it set to a certain time until it expires. And this is good. Using a weather example, I would say that it would be valid to look at the weather every hour and see how much it's changed, because weather can change within the hour. So if you set your data in the Redis cache to expire after an hour, that means the next person that's checking the weather at your location, they'll look in the Redis instance. It's not in the Redis instance anymore because it's expired. So then they'll go to the third-party API, grab that data, and then pull it back to the client. And in the meantime, they'll write that data also to the cache. So the next person that looks up that amount of data will be able to access it from Redis. And there's a lot of different ways of doing this: right behind, right ahead, right aside caching. And it's just all different ways of when you implement writing cache or writing to the database these requests. And it's a very nuanced conversation, and there's many papers and videos on it, not just through us, of like the best way to implement a cache. I'd say the best way is just to start with a simple one, and then you can always expand on that. And again, our videos do cover like different topics, like warming up the cache in the beginning when you start your server. Also, eviction policies, because it is a cache, it's not going to be the largest thing in the world. So sometimes you're going to run out of space, or there's a possibility of running out of space on your cache instance. So you have to think of eviction policies. So I want to get rid of the least recently used, or the least frequently used, or do I not want to get rid of anything at all, or do I want to get rid of something just randomly? So there's a lot of different topics, and I would definitely recommend looking at our videos, because out of all the things we've created, I think that somebody will have a really good grip on where they need to implement their cache and how, and what works best for them. So yeah, this is a great question. I'll cut myself off before I talk too much, but caching is actually a lot of fun, and it's a really good skill to have when you're coding at your application. And also, session storage, it just works right next to it. So
yeah, I think in this application we demonstrate. I haven't got the code to hand, but it's in GitHub. We demonstrate adding Express middleware to an existing application to just drop the caching in. So it's like, if you're not doing it in your application already, it's a fairly easy retrofit. And the other aspect of this question was session storage, which is basically, once you need to store state in an HTTP type application, where each request and response is essentially its own thing. That's okay when you've got a single server, because you can just do that in memory. But when you've got multiple, you need something that sits behind them and acts as a session store, and also covers that server crashing and rebooting and resuming sessions. So you can add Redis as a session store to an Express application very easily. I don't know if we've got code examples in here. Probably not. They're in GitHub. But basically, this is even easier than caching, because it's pretty much just an Express middleware that you get off the shelf on npm, drop in, and you tell it how long you want sessions to be available for and what your sort of unique session secret seed is, and then it makes sessions up about those. So yeah, that's all there. This course actually uses the IO Redis client, but if you're using the Node Redis client, the same concepts apply, because you're just calling Redis commands at the end of the day. And in the case of the middleware for session storage, I think it just takes any connected Redis client, so it doesn't actually care which one you're using.
Cool. Yeah, and I highly recommend checking out the Node Redis, the Node crash course on developer.redis.com. Too many Redises. Developer.redis.com, because that was a really good course. That I think is one of the first ones that we all did in the pandemic, wasn't it?
I think so. It's also unusual because it's on the developer site. You don't need to sign up for it, and it doesn't have like university exams or homeworks. So it's more informational, but it's the same format of, each module's got some stuff to read, there's some code, and there's a video for each. So if you can listen to me for that long, there's about 14 videos.
Yeah, we like our videos here, and I would highly recommend Justin's video as well that Simon talked about earlier. I dropped the link in the chat, and that's the one with the rain and the lightning, isn't it?
The rain, the lightning, and a little cameo from my cat. She was in the end scene, so it's worth it just alone to look at a cat.
Oh, definitely. Always like to see your cats. And if you're wondering, if you're watching and you can see that still, if you're wondering why, how we did the effects, we have got a super talented video team that we are so lucky to work with here in the DevRel team. So I want to give a shout out to Alex and Josephine and Kyle, who used to be in our team, for producing that video, because it's just amazing. It's like a really immersive experience. You feel like you're actually there with Justin. And it is a little bit miserable, like that whole situation with all the weather. But yeah, it really feels like you're there with the sound and the visuals and stuff. So kudos to them. And Justin knows a lot about hiking and being caught out in the weather and all of that good stuff. And when we went on our offsite in Austin recently, Justin actually educated us on the fundamentals of hiking. And I think there's one piece of advice that every single person, so there's probably about 15 people in our team, one piece of advice that all of us are going to remember. Simon, can you think of the one piece of advice Justin gave us that I'm thinking of?
I'm going to struggle now, but I think it might be something to do with bears.
There's something about bears, but there's also something about toes.
Ooh.
Justin said, cut your nails.
Yeah. That's from learned experience. But yeah, I'm a pretty avid hiker and backpacker, and I have perfect shoes. They're like 2 sizes bigger than my actual feet, because you're wearing like wool socks and stuff, and your feet expand when you walk. 10, 12, 13 miles a day. But I forgot to cut my toenails down perfectly, really, really short. And I had to walk 3 miles downhill a gravel pathway. And so I was slipping and sliding, and I kept on like kicking my feet into like rocks and stuff like that. And when I actually set up camp, I noticed my toes were a little purple. I'm like, oh no, it's just some bruising. But no, they actually I won't get too graphic on the stream, but there was a little bit of detachment. I had some detachment issues in the end, and it was very sad. I lost my favorite nails. They were with me for my whole life, but they grew back, so everything's fine. But yeah,
Nothing lasts forever, does it? And in this case, it was your little toenails. But yeah, that's the thing I will always remember. But yeah, definitely check out that talk. You'll get a lot of really good tips about Node and Redis. Not really about hiking, but yeah, that's where Justin was coming from with that one. So we have got a question in the chat. Let's have a quick look at this and see what we can do with this question. So this person wants to make an app using React on the front end, Firebase as a serverless, and Redis for caching and session handling. Can you do that? In case of a yay, we can do that. Do you have any links that can help me? Well, we probably don't have any links that we can think of straight away. I don't know whether that crash course might be something that's useful to.
So broadly, front end doesn't matter. So any front end technology is fine. So I've worked with Firebase, but it was a few years ago, shortly after Google took it over. So my experience with it might be a bit old, but not concern, but my question with Firebase would be, what can you actually call out to from Firebase hosting and Firebase services? Because if you're going to need to talk to a Redis server, you'll need to be allowed to reach that wherever it is, and then you're going to want that as close as possible to wherever Firebase is hosted, which is a bit opaque because it's a SaaS type thing, because you want your Redis close to your execution environment so that you minimize network latency, because Redis is super fast, but we can't be faster than like the slowest component in your stack, which is nearly always going to be your network. If you're fronting Firebase or something with something else, like say a Nginx cluster or something, then absolutely you can just put Redis in there as a session store and a cache. So unfortunately, the answer is kind of like it depends, and that's quite a wide question. But it might be something that if you have sort of specifics, you could try out with Discord, and you might find there's other people that are also using Firebase in there.
I can almost guarantee you that somebody in Discord will have actually had Firebase and Redis spun up at the same time. So you should be able to get some good insight from the actual Discord community.
Yeah, so as a reminder, if you want to come along and have a chat about that, discord.gg/Redis should be fairly straightforward. Sign up. That link will get you straight in there, and you just need to say yes to the code of conduct, and then you can come in and ask your question. You are very welcome. We'd love to hear questions from the community. So that was the end of our This Week in Discord for this week. Simon and Justin, is there anything you wanted to plug or comment on before we say goodbye?
I'll blow my own trumpet a little bit for once. I've been doing streams on Thursday mornings UK time, so a little bit out of what the majority of you see on this channel. And if you're interested in Raspberry Pi stuff and sensors and Redis streams, there's that. And also, if you're just interested in all things coding, stick around for about another 15 minutes because Guy's taking over this channel afterwards.
Yep, Guy Royce will be here shortly. Justin, anything from you?
For me, I just wrapped up, I don't know if you can see in the background, my famous little light and my table and my laptop and my succulents. I just wrapped up another explainer video, very exciting. So everybody should look forward to seeing that. Maybe the end of next week. Here's hoping. There's a lot that goes into the videos. So I just passed them all over to Alex, and hopefully we'll be able to get that delivered to you. And also, I'm plugging away at our developer certification every week. So I would recommend that everybody gets their developer certification. You just have to take 3 courses at Redis University. And then it's free. It's a big exam, but we help you a lot with a lot of the information. And yeah, you get a huge certificate that you can share on LinkedIn. It's really great to have. And on Discord, you get the role Certified Redis Geek, and you get a little badge next to you, your name. So, and there you go.
Sorry, we don't have the T-shirts anymore. This is a really old one, but I'm still using it.
Yeah, we've all got the theme T-shirts. So I've got my Hacktoberfest one on. Simon's got his Redis Geek one on. We're properly on brand for the topics of today. But yeah, highly recommend Redis certification. And like Justin said, you get a certificate you put on LinkedIn. But also, like with all of our other Redis University courses, we have a dedicated channel on Discord as well for people who want to talk about that course, or in the case of certification, to talk about certification as well. So if you've got any questions about it, or you're actually doing it and you want to discuss things with other people, then come onto Discord and find the channel, the relative channel to the courses that you're doing or the certification. And then once you achieve that certification, you will get the certified Redis. I want that one, but I know what the answer to that is. Susie, just have to do the courses. So it's quite an easy fix. But yeah, I really want that. I really want that role in Discord. Maybe I'll get it one day.
I think as well, don't be afraid to reach out and ask things about the courses. This isn't like high school. Asking isn't cheating. Yeah. So yeah, we're not going to like straight up give you a load of the answers, but we're here to help. Yeah,
it's like being at school, isn't it? If you can come along and say, look, I've tried this, and this, I'm really stuck. This is what I think it is. Am I barking up the right tree or the wrong tree? We will happily tell you. So yeah, don't be worried about that. And if you want to get a taster of what the courses are like I said, check out RU101 live playlist on youtube.com/ I think it's /Redis, Redis Inc. That's it. YouTube.com/ Redis Inc. Me and Justin are on there, and try to put the fun back into fundamentals, and hopefully that will show you how harmless it is. So I'll leave you with that thought today. You've got a few videos to watch, a bit of Hacktoberfesting to do, and you can come back and tell me next week what you've all done. Tell me in the chat. Until then, look after yourselves, everybody, and we will see you at the same time next week. Bye.
See ya.
Thanks, everybody. See ya.